You wake up. You did not have to hunt for your breakfast. You did not have to fight for the right to sleep indoors. You did not have to prove your strength to anyone before you were allowed to eat. Someone or something made sure all of that was handled for you. And the strange part is, you never asked who. Here is a question that sounds insulting at first. What if you are domesticated? Not metaphorically, biologically. The same process that turned wolves into golden retrievers and wild boars into pink farm pigs might have happened to your species too. And the evidence for it is written all over your body, your face, and your brain. Start with wolves. A wolf is lean, alert, aggressive, built for survival in a world that owes it nothing. A golden retriever is soft-featured, floppy-eared, endlessly trusting, and happiest when a human is nearby. Somewhere between those two animals, something changed. Not just behavior. Anatomy. Domesticated animals across dozens of species tend to develop smaller brains than their wild ancestors, flatter faces, floppier ears, curlier tails, and a strange patchiness in their fur coloring. Scientists call this collection of traits domestication syndrome. And here is the part that should make you sit up. Compared to other primates, humans show almost every single one of these traits. Your face is flatter than a chimpanzee's. Your brow ridge is smaller. Your teeth are smaller. Your body produces less of certain stress hormones in response to threats that would send a wild primate into a panic. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard has spent years studying exactly this pattern, and he argues that modern humans look, in many physical ways, like a domesticated version of our ancient ancestors. The question is, if that is true, who domesticated us? There is no farmer standing over early humans with a leash. So if domestication happened, it had to happen another way. Self-domestication. Humans domesticating humans. Here is how the theory works. Imagine an early human community, tens of thousands of years ago. In any group, there are individuals who are highly reactive, aggressive, quick to violence when provoked. In the wild, that aggression can be useful. It can also get you killed by your own group. Wrangham's research points to something brutal but telling. In small-scale societies that still exist today, the most violent, most domineering individuals are sometimes killed by group consensus. Not by one rival, by the group acting together, quietly, deliberately. Over tens of thousands of years, if the most reactive, least cooperative individuals were consistently removed from the gene pool, while calmer, more socially cooperative individuals were the ones who survived and reproduced, you would get exactly the kind of biological shift seen in domesticated animals. Smaller faces, smaller teeth, lower reactive aggression, a body built for getting along, not for winning fights. In other words, your ancestors did not get tamed by an outside force. They tamed each other. The leash was social. The selection pressure was your own neighbors deciding who got to keep living among them. This reframes something you have probably felt but never named. That sense that you are constantly being watched, judged, evaluated by the people around you. That you instinctively soften your tone, adjust your expression, monitor whether you are being too much or too little. Psychologists call part of this self-monitoring, studied extensively by researchers like Mark Snyder. But the roots of it may go back far deeper than any modern social theory. Your brain may be running an ancient survival program. Do not be the one they decide to remove. Now think about dogs again for a moment. A dog raised without ever meeting another dog will still understand basic dog social signals. A human raised in true isolation, without language, without social contact, develops profound and often permanent difficulties with social understanding. This is not a coincidence. Domesticated animals are often described as having an extended juvenile period, staying playful, curious, and dependent on social bonds for far longer than their wild relatives. Compared to other great apes, humans have an enormous childhood. Chimpanzees are largely independent within a few years. Humans remain dependent, playful, and neurologically still developing for over a decade. Some researchers, including those building on work by Stephen Jay Gould around the concept of neoteny, the retention of juvenile traits into adulthood, have argued that this extended childhood is itself a form of domestication. Domesticated animals stay puppy-like. Humans stay childlike, curious, trusting, eager to learn from elders, dependent on a group for survival far longer than strict biological necessity would seem to require. And then there is the most uncomfortable comparison of all. Domesticated animals are, fundamentally, easier to control than their wild counterparts. They respond to social cues. They seek approval. They can be trained through reward and punishment far more easily than wild animals, who often simply cannot be tamed at all, no matter how young they are taken in. If humans really did go through a process of self-domestication, then one of the side effects might be exactly this: a species that is unusually responsive to approval, unusually sensitive to social punishment, unusually trainable. Look at how much of modern life runs on precisely these levers. Workplaces run on performance reviews and social approval. Social media runs on likes, a literal quantified measure of group approval, delivered instantly, repeatedly, and addictively. Advertising runs on making you feel that you are being watched, judged, and found lacking unless you buy the right thing. None of this would work nearly as well on a wild chimpanzee. It works extraordinarily well on you. There is a famous, though controversial, experiment from the 1950s and 60s involving silver foxes in Siberia, run by geneticist Dmitry Belyaev. Belyaev selected foxes for only one trait across generations: tameness. Just whether the fox tolerated human presence calmly. He was not selecting for floppy ears or smaller brains or playful behavior. He selected purely for calmness around humans. And yet, within just a few generations, the foxes began developing floppy ears, curled tails, piebald coats, and playful, dog-like behavior. All the hallmark signs of domestication syndrome emerged as a side effect of selecting for just one thing: tolerance of others, reduced reactivity, reduced fear and aggression. If a similar selection pressure operated on early humans, selecting again and again for individuals who were calmer, less reactive, easier to live alongside, then everything else, the smaller faces, the extended childhoods, the heightened sensitivity to social approval, could be side effects riding along for the ride, not separately evolved traits, a package deal. Here is the twist that makes this even stranger. If self-domestication is real, it did not stop in the deep past. Every society that punishes extreme aggression, that isolates or removes individuals who cannot cooperate, that rewards calm, agreeable, cooperative behavior with social inclusion and reproductive opportunity, is potentially still running the same program. Modern prisons, modern social exclusion, modern reputational damage that follows someone for life after one viral act of cruelty. These might not just be cultural inventions. They might be the latest version of an ancient mechanism, the same mechanism that gave you your flatter face and your oversized capacity for guilt. Which brings the question back to you. Sitting here, having just woken up, having had your breakfast handled, your safety handled, your social position constantly, quietly evaluated by everyone around you. You are not an untamed animal living briefly inside a civilized world. You may be the civilized world's product, bred gradually, generation by generation, not for strength, not for speed, not for ferocity, but for the ability to get along, to read a room, to sense disapproval before it is spoken, to want, more than almost anything else, to belong. So you wake up. You did not have to hunt for your breakfast. You did not have to fight for the right to sleep indoors. You did not have to prove your strength to anyone before you were allowed to eat. Someone or something made sure all of that was handled for you. And now you know who. It was every person before you who decided, again and again, across tens of thousands of years, who got to stay.